What's good, people? I hope you're well. Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to the channel. I thought I'd do a little bit of a transfer roundup show today. I'm on my own, so I thought let's take a look at some of the news. I've literally just walked in the door, and there's so much happening, man. It's crazy. Um, Not any tremendously pressing or huge news today, but there's some that I think we should discuss. There's a lot of discussion and a lot of rumors more than anything, but I think it's important to keep everyone up to date and to discuss some of it. Make sure you do me a favor. Make sure you smash a like on this. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you are new. We're 15 of you away from 11K. Come on, people. I thought we were going to do it overnight. It doesn't seem like we're going to. So let's make sure that we can do that, please. If all of you hit a like now and a subscribe, we're done. We're literally there to 11K, which is what I want to get to, people. So please make sure that you do that straight away. Like, subscribe, and it's done. It's free. It's 2 clicks of a button, and we can make it this stream that we announced that we've hit 11K. So please make sure that we're doing that, people. That would be amazing. Listen, I need to discuss a few things. Last night, please make sure you go check it out, man. It was our first Race for Europe show of the season. It was a class one. If you haven't seen it, please make sure you do see it. Great debates between Errol, Dan United, Dan Lawless, and LB in particular, and then Pete and Billy getting involved with the Newcastle Villa game. But it was all about Lawless last night. Bless him. West Ham are in a mess, aren't they? Absolutely in a mess. Please do me a favor in the chat as well, in the comments. Let me know if my mic's okay, because I've had to take an emergency headset due to some problems with my old one. So if I'm too loud, too quiet, please let me know, because I'm having some audio issues severely. So please let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. Listen, let's get to it, shall we? Because West Ham are in a mess, but they're all over the news. They're all over the news for positives and negatives. And I must admit, if I'm a West Ham fan right now, I'm done with the club, man. I'm done. I'm literally done. And I asked Lawless and the West Ham fans I know, what are you going to do about it? Because you all want Moyes out. Is it David Moyes? Is he the problem? Because as far as I'm concerned, it goes higher than that. It goes higher than that for me. Because all of the transfer negotiations aren't just down to David Moyes. They brought in a new footballing director who, for me, is on a different page to what David Moyes is at. And they've got a owner in Sullivan who I don't think runs the club very, very well. So if I was a West Ham fan, I'd want to completely start afresh. And I'm talking manager, ownership board, everything. People that love West Ham United getting back involved in that club. Ex-players, I don't care whether it's Di Canio going in there, Anton Ferdinand, Joe Cole. I don't care who it is. Mark Noble gets some form of role because they love the club. For me, listen, I think Noble's there actually as it goes. But for me, there's got to be more done from the fan base, because the voice at the moment is just sack Moyes. If they sack Moyes, they'll just get another David Moyes in. So I think what the West Ham fans want is a new, more attractive manager, a board and ownership that are on board with playing attractive style of football and trying to keep the likes of Bowen, Paqueta, Aguerd, etc. happy and add and build on top of that. Now, they were never going to replace Declan Rice. And West Ham fans are so salty the fact that he's gone to Arsenal, right? But honestly, they could do so much with that money on top of what they could do if they was to sell somebody some of the deadwood. You can put that towards 4 or 5 very good players. Now, it looks like Manchester City are Manchester City. Looks like West Ham United are going and trying to do that. Now, they're spending money, but is it wisely spending money? A lot of people are saying this would be a really, really good signing in a couple of these players they link with. Some people not so sure. Let's start with Harry Maguire, shall we? Harry Maguire, the player for me, does well for England, and that's about where it ends. When I saw him at Sheffield United come through as a youngster, he looked all right, and he went to Hull and he looked all right. When he was at Leicester, I felt he was overhyped. I thought he was a good centre-half. I didn't look at him and go, wow. When Manchester United came in and signed him for 80 million, for me, it was pure desperation as well as stupidity. But when I look at it back at it now, maybe Harry Maguire suits a back three. Maybe Harry Maguire suits a management style like Southgate, where someone has total trust in him in a back four, but doesn't really play an unbelievably attractive style of football. And that leads me to think that perhaps he would be an okay signing for West Ham. I don't look at it and think it'll be a shambolic one, but I also don't look at it and think it'll be a superb one. And I stand by this, guys. And let me know in the chat if you believe this. I really don't think Harry Maguire is better than Zuma or Aguerd. Now, people can debate me on it and say they're much better if they want to, but what is he better at? I don't think he's better than Aguerd in terms of an all-round defender. I don't think he's better than Zuma in terms of an all-round defender. So if he's coming, who's he replacing? Who is he actually getting ahead of? Or does Moyes want to go with a three at the back? It's a weird one for me. Really weird. And also, West Ham don't just need that. They need a whole new spine and a new couple of fullbacks. Because I don't really understand. Maybe I'm being harsh here, but Soufal and Emerson, do they deserve the flowers they've been given by West Ham fans? I don't think they're that great. For me, if I'm West Ham and I'm looking at Southampton players, I'm looking at Kyle Walker-Peters as one of the ones I want. James Ward-Prowse is another one that we're going to mention now. James Ward-Prowse, what do we think, people? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments. Like, honestly, is that a good signing? I like the player. I've always liked him. Great at set pieces, but actually he is more than that. A lot of people think he can only take free kicks. I think that's incredibly harsh on a player that I think has proved himself in the Premier League and certainly to a high level at Southampton. He's got leadership as well, mentality. Probably one that will wear the armband, in my opinion. I would give it to him over Maguire. I know a lot of people will say no, but I personally feel like he would go into that captain mould a lot better. So I think this would be an all right signing. I think it would. They've got Alvarez, it seems, that's going to be coming through the door from Ajax. So they've got their midfield now, it seems. Linked with strikers, I think there's some rumours that they're happy with going for Balogun. But I don't think for Balogun that's going to be an option. It looks like Inter Milan are favourites to get him. Arsenal want 50 million for Balogun. I don't think we're going to get that, if I'm honest with you guys. I think we're going to be closer to 35 to 40. So they're going to need a centre forward. Who do they go and get? No idea. David Moyes, he likes a certain style of player. That's why he wants Maguire and McTominay. So I totally get why West Ham fans are frustrated. Let's take a look in the chat. We've got some West Ham and Manchester United fans in the chat. Big up to Judy Toon for life. Big up to Mustafa. Big up to Brooksy. Big up to Alan. Big up to Jangelo. Big up to Ross. Big up to Chilandro. Let's take some of these. Big up to Lawrence. Here we go. Lawrence says, can we compare Maguire and Botman? They're different levels and Botman is so clear. Listen, absolutely he's clear for me. I think Botman looks to be a top player. Brooksy's saying, if we can get the best out of Maguire, then we'll have a solid centre-back. We need a new centre-back because Zuma is always injured. That's a great point. Zuma's always injured. And to be fair to you, if West Ham wants to go in the right direction, this would not be a bad signing because Maguire, Aguerd and Zuma, you've got yourself three centre-backs that are all Premier League proven there. So fair play to you for that one. Eros says, big up, Potts. Thank you very much, mate. Hope you are well. Mustafa says he will suit David Moyes' system in a back three, which, to be fair, Moyes hasn't really played too much, but we'll have to see what happens there. Brooksy's also said, really happy with James Ward-Prowse personally. Chilandro is saying that Moyes has already promised Maguire the captaincy. If that's the truth, then that's a bit strange for me, but listen, he sees the qualities in terms of his leadership there, and he has captained before. Toby, big up Toby. He says, I'd agree that Maguire isn't better than Zuma or Aguerd, and that's from a West Ham fan. I agree with you, Toby. I don't really understand why people are believing that he is. I would have the pair of them. Maybe, like Brooksy said, Zuma's always injured. But when fit, Zuma and Aguerd, for me, are better than Harry Maguire. I honestly believe that. It's crazy. Geordie Toon for Life says, Ross Barkley is a new Luton player. Wow, I didn't even know he was still playing. Unbelievable. What happened to him, by the way? He completely dropped off, didn't he? Unbelievable. Jangelo has says that, yes, he's a good finisher and yes, he's a good finisher and set pieces. He'd be an extra string to the bow. I'd have Ward-Prowse at Arsenal. I would like better than Ward-Prowse. That's very disrespectful, some might think, but I think we could do better than that. So let's see what happens. Peter says, big up, Potts. Did you hear Ransom Bant's comment about Man United being a better team to a man versus Arsenal? I mean, that is absolute. Yeah, I like Rants, but Rants and Bants, yeah, he must be having Bants then because, wow, that is an absolute madness for me. 1 to 11 Arsenal, for me, getting most their team ahead of Manchester United's at the moment, in my opinion. Um, I think that they can compete with us about discussions around how good Onana and Ramsdale are. I think there can be discussions around their back centre half pairing to our centre half pairing. I think there can be debates about whether Casemiro and Rashford deserve a place in 100%. But other than that, I think the rest of the team picks itself, and they're all gooners, aren't they? I mean, literally, they're all Arsenal players, and they got no squad depth. Man United. I said this last night on the show. It's crazy for me. But let's move on to this because Alan has mentioned it. Paqueta to Manchester City. Paqueta is reported to have an £85 million release clause that can't be activated until next summer. So unless Sullivan's a complete idiot, he won't allow him to go. We are in deep shit. Listen, I do feel for you, man. I do, because I think you run terribly at the moment, and it's proving. And I don't think there's any telepathy with Moyes and this Steintend guy. So listen, the Paqueta deal. Paqueta must be looking at West Ham United right now and thinking, what am I doing here? All the players around me that I thought were going to be here are looking to be sold. The players that are coming in aren't filling me with confidence, i.e. Maguire. I don't really want to be here. And I think when Manchester City come knocking, it is a little bit of a different knock. And I think for a player like Lucas Paqueta, who's used to European football with Lyon, played it a little bit with West Ham, won his trophy, he's going to go Man City if they actually seriously want him. Now, I haven't seen any reliable rumours that I believe, anyway, reliable sources that suggests that Paqueta is on his way to Man City. But there are Romano comments and some of the other insiders' knowledge that's come out saying that Paqueta is wanted by Manchester City. I think LB said last night, as a City fan, he'd like him, he'd have him. I don't feel personally like it would be a poor signing. I think it'd be quite good money for Manchester City if it's a rumoured 70 to 80 million. I think West Ham would probably look to take that, if I'm honest. But are they then selling their best players? Are they going backwards? Getting rid of Rice and Paqueta in the first window after just winning a trophy? I don't know, man. I don't know. I find it very, very, very tricky. Um, let's see. Do me a favor, guys. Any questions that you want, please put them in. I will answer them. Make sure you either put in a super chat or, of course, a question with a Q at the front, so I know it's a question. I'll do my best to get through them. West Ham. Where do I see him this season? I said to Lawless, and he just didn't agree, and I don't know why he didn't agree. What's a better season? West Ham coming 7th or West Ham coming 14th and winning a Carabao Cup? It's got to be the trophy because it's been 43 years since they've won one. They finally get one. And then what, do they wait another 43 years to get another one? For me, I think we should be getting to a stage where all clubs outside of winning silverware in the Champions League, Premier League, or Europa League, or whatever, outside of Europe should be looking at that going, I think what we need to do is we need to look at how we can get a Carabao Cup or an FA Cup, or at least closest to one as we can. Maybe going to the final or Wembley or whatever it be. So let me know, West Ham fans in the chat. What would you rather have? I would much rather have a trophy if I'm a West Ham fan. Finish safe. You get 14th. It's a poor season again in the league. But I'm doing that at the end of the season with a Carabao Cup or an FA Cup. Now, I don't think that West Ham are good enough to win that trophy because I don't think that they're going to dedicate and sacrifice all that to them. They could lose to Manchester City. They could lose to any of the sides ahead of it. But come on, man. Like, for me, it's trophy or bust. And I think when you look at what Sheffield United and Tottenham did last season, Sheffield United showed more ambition to win that trophy than Spurs, and that's embarrassing. Spurs dropped all of their players under Conte because he wanted to get top 4. That's a poor, poor thing to do. And I think it would be very foolish for West Ham to drop and sacrifice all of those trophies to try and get a Europa Conference League place, 7th place. I think it would be madness. That's just my opinion, man. Before I take your questions, they're starting to go in the chat. Make sure you put them in there. I'm going to star them so I know exactly what ones to go for. So make sure you do that, and I'll answer some of those before we finish. Let's talk Chelsea, shall we? I don't know what's going on. It looks today like Leicester have signed Caicedo, or Caicedo. I don't know how you say it. a player that apparently was going to come into Chelsea and be good. Well, he's already gone on loan, it seems now. Very, very strange. They're not really, in my opinion, blessed with midfielders. Andre Santos is young. Chukwuemeka is young. And Nkunku is now out for 4 to 5 months. They've got Enzo. Other than that, they still got Gallagher. So they've got 3 or 4 midfielders. Caicedo coming in for me is the one that takes him to a new level. And Tyler Adams, there's rumours that Leeds are going to sell him because he has a £20 million release clause in his contract. Now, I've actually always been a fan of Tyler Adams. I think he's a workhorse. And I think he'll do well in a Pochettino side. I can see that signing actually working for Chelsea, if I'm honest. And I think Caicedo, Enzo, and Nkunku, when he's fit, is not a bad central midfield. Do they have the backup, though? I don't think they do. I don't know anything about Andre Santos. I hear very good things. I hear that he's very, very good. Conor Gallagher, Chukwuemeka, do you think they're ready to come in and build strength in depth for Chelsea? I quite like little bits and pieces of what they do, but I don't think they're outstanding talents. So let's see what happens with Chelsea. But Caicedo and Adams, I think, will definitely improve their midfield 100%. Like, honestly. Let's have a laugh, shall we? Someone's giving it to me in the chat. Let's have a laugh. Who's this? Speaking facts, Dan Potts. Oh, it's 2 T's, bro, but no worries. You're just jealous and deluded like all the other Arsenal fans, despite of your age. You seem to know how old I am as well. United is selling Maguire and it's hurting your arse when United fans don't focus on Arsenal for their sales. Does anybody understand what that means? Because I'm struggling. I am struggling with what that is all about. But there we go. Thanks for the comment, my bro. Okay, so Chelsea. Let me tell you where I am with Chelsea right now. All I keep hearing is Arsenal won't compete with Man City because they don't have the squad depth. Okay, I can agree with that. Then in the same sentence, I hear Liverpool and United might outjump Arsenal this season. Which one is it then? Make it make sense, because Arsenal have got a better squad depth than Manchester United and Liverpool, in my opinion. Like, I don't really get it for me. I look at Liverpool right now. If Van Dijk gets injured, they've got the same centre-backs as last season who couldn't defend. If they buy Lavia and he gets injured, they've got the same defensive midfielders that they had from last season, minus Fabinho, minus James Milner, and minus Jordan Henderson. So I don't really get it, if I'm honest. I really don't get it. Like, I feel personally like Manchester United are also in the position of lose Casemiro. Who's their defensive midfield backup if they get rid of Fred and McTominay? They might get Amrabat in. That would be fine. But otherwise, it's Mount. What happens when Højlund, who's currently injured, gets a long-term injury after he comes back to fitness? They're back to Martial up top, or they've got to play Rashford there. Who's the right wingers? Sancho and Antony? They've proven they've not been good enough. At the back, they're a centre-half injury away from Lindelof coming into the side if they're going to sell Maguire. They've got, for me, no backup goalkeeper after Onana now, because they look to be selling Dean Henderson. So they're still stuck with Tom Heaton, is it? So I don't look at Manchester United and think, oh, I wish I had their strength and depth. Arsenal could learn two or three things from them. And Liverpool likewise. I think Liverpool's first 11 is good. I think Manchester United's first 11 is good. But they don't have the backup. So why are we looking at highlighting on Arsenal? We need to have the same energy for the other clubs. Chelsea, brilliant season. 1 game a week. They're going to be fine. They haven't even got an 11 yet, let alone a squad depth. So I just think we sometimes look at piling in on Arsenal. And I'm not saying this because I'm a gooner. I just think it's facts. I think sometimes we deserve to be piled in on as a fan base. I think we're a little bit too excitable and over the top. And I think some of us are on the verge of being deluded at times. But I look at it and I think, yeah, hang on a minute. Is this really that fair when other clubs are not getting the same, treated the same in terms of the energy? So I have to see what happens there. So that's that. That's today's news. The only other thing I wanted to mention was this Pavard rumour. Pavard to Manchester United. It's a strange one, this. I don't really understand why they're going to be looking to sell him. I think it would be a great signing for Man United because I do believe there's a number of positions that he can play there. I think playing across the line, across the back four, really. I've seen him play left back before, but usually over at right back, he can play right centre back as well. And I think it would be a good signing for Manchester United. I think it's a player that they could do with. And if you think about it, I've just said that if one of their centre halves gets injured and then Pavard was to come in, or if one of their centre midfielders was to get in and Amrabat's there, or somebody like that is coming in, he'd probably start, to be honest, Amrabat. Then it's a little bit of a different energy for me. So we'll have to see what happens. I've seen that Pavard's been linked with a couple of English clubs. I think Chelsea, City, and United all now have been linked with him. I mean, Chelsea are just linked with anyone, to be honest, and everyone. So I have to see what happens there. Christian has said that Caicedo, Elise, and Adams are coming to Chelsea. Laugh out loud. I don't know if that's because he thinks it will not happen or it won't happen. I think all three of those are fairly realistic. If you believe the Elise rumour to be true about his release clause, then he could go to Chelsea. Depends how interested Arsenal and Man City actually are. But I think at the moment it looks like it's gone dead for both those two clubs. So Chelsea could quite easily get him. I think Tyler Adams for a £20 million release clause, that's two good signings for what a combined 55 million. And then you've got Caicedo, who I think would be phenomenal for Chelsea. So I think those three signings, Chelsea all of a sudden start to look like they can get back into the Champions League this season, whereas at the moment I'm not so sure that they can, but we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. Let's take some of your questions. Ben Smith, big up yourself. He says, who do you reckon that Arsenal will sign next? I think it's going to be David Raya, but I think that's an obvious choice. So I'll go for somebody else because I do think we'll get somebody else. The Kudus deal has gone very, very quiet, hasn't it? But I really thought it would be him. I really felt like it would be him. I thought that we would get somebody like that, but then Brighton were linked, have agreed terms. But now it's all gone quiet. I just think it might be him. I just think it might be. I think Mikel Arteta and Edu might have a word with him and say, look, if you fancy Brighton, you fancy Arsenal. And I think that we might get him next after David Raya. But watch this space, man. Watch this space. Kudus can play up top as well, which is some position that we need. He can play right wing, which we need cover for Saka. And he can play in the 10 or the attacking 8 from what I hear. So this would be a fantastic signing for me for 40-odd million pounds. So that's the one I'd go for, Ben. This one is from Fisayo. He says, big up, Dan. What's your take on Kudus stalling with Brighton? Very interesting, as you've just mentioned it. I do believe another club's in for him. I don't think it's just Arsenal. I think there's rumours of City, Bayern, Chelsea, and maybe another club that were all interested as well as Brighton. And obviously Arsenal are one of those. So I think that is what he's looking at right now. Who am I fancying? Who do I think we'll go for? Yeah, an interesting one indeed. Very interesting. Let's look at this next one here. Is this from Toby? Toby says, do you think that Balogun and Nonto would be good additions for West Ham? Both linked to us at the moment. I think they would both be fantastic because they're both young, they're both vibrant, they've both got a high ceiling of potential. I think Balogun is in need of first-team football in England. I think he wants that. And Nonto proved himself, didn't he, in the Premier League to be a very exciting talent. You know, I think along with Mitoma, they were the two wide players last season I looked at and thought, wow, they've come out of nowhere. They look fantastic. And if I had to pick a Leeds player right now to sign for us, it would be Gnonto because he can play on both wings. And I feel that we're still lacking there when Saka gets injured. So I think he'd be a fantastic signing for West Ham. And as for Balogun, I think it's probably going to cost you a combined, let's say, 80 million, 70, 80 million if you want these two players. Gnonto, I imagine, will be about 25 million because Leeds have got him and he's an Italy international. I don't think he's on like a contract that's going to run out soon. So you're not going to get him for 10 million. And Balogun, I think 40 million is the mark that we're being spoken of. So let's see what happens there, Toby. This one comes in from Dom Dewsbury. He says, it's looking likely now that Liverpool bid the 50 million for Lavia. With the addition of Lavia, will it be a three-horse race this year with City, Arsenal and Liverpool? I don't know why Liverpool haven't just paid 50 million for Lavia, really. What they're trying to get him for 44 million for, then 45 and all this. Just pay it. That's obviously what they want, Southampton. They've told you that all along. I think it'd be a good signing for that amount of money as well, particularly this market. I think at a 19-year-old player with a ceiling that high, I think he could be fantastic for Liverpool. I really do. He's definitely playing first-team football, and he can grow with that team. So I think it'd be a great signing. If Liverpool keep their first 11 fit, yes, I do think they can go in for a title race with Lavia. I do think perhaps they're a centre-back away. I think if they was to get Lavia and say Mark Guehi, then I think they would be 100% in for a title race. I just worry about them defensively and in defensive midfield. I don't think that by getting rid of them all, it was that wise. I think they should have kept one. So that's my honest thoughts about that one. I expect it to be Arsenal and Man City, and I do think that if Liverpool have a season that I expect them to in terms of the transfer market towards the end of this next, 3 weeks it will be now, I think that they could have a good season as well. This one comes in from King Harland, who says, Dan, can you create an FPL for this channel? I've got an FPL league. I will definitely put the pin in here so that anyone can join it 100%. It all sounds good. Although I'm rubbish at it because I always forget it every week. So I've got too much going on with all this that I do. But we'll give it a go. Sports Genius says, Dan, your thoughts on Alvarez and Ward-Prowse to West Ham? Did they replace Rice sufficiently? No, because you're not going to replace Declan Rice. He's been phenomenal. And it's like when a player leaves who is seen in a legendary status at your club leaving, you're not going to replace him because sometimes they're irreplaceable. And I do believe that Declan Rice will go down as that for West Ham. He's won a trophy. He's led them to it. He's been the captain. He's been the leader. And I think that Lampard, Joe Cole, Michael Carrick, and himself, they'll all go down in that bracket for me. And I don't think that Alvarez and Prowse will replace Rice. What I will say is you will get two players there now instead of just the one. So instead of replacing Declan Rice in having Souček, Downs, and Paqueta, unless Paqueta goes, you're obviously then going to have the chance of Alvarez, Ward-Prowse, and Paqueta, which, to be fair, is not a shocking midfield, if I'm honest with you. So that one could be interesting. So watch this space with that one. Let's have a look at some of your questions lastly before we come to a close. Where are we? Here we go. This is from Chilandro. It says, Dan, if Balogun's sold, are you worried that Nketiah is your main striker for the first half of the season? I would play Trossard ahead of Nketiah, and I think Mikel Arteta has proven that Kai Havertz has a chance now of getting ahead of Eddie Nketiah. And people will say, well, why do you need another striker then? Because none of them are clinical enough. Literally none of them are. I've not seen any evidence that Balogun is going to be, and he looks like he's going to be sold. Eddie is not clinical enough. Trossard isn't really a centre forward. And Jesus, along with Havertz and Dominic Calvert-Lewin last season, were in the top three for most wasted chances. So we need a clinical striker. We need someone up top that's going to get us a definite 25, 30 goals. And they're not really out there at the moment. So it's going to be very, very difficult. This one comes in from Ozguna. Says, hi, Dan. Can you explain why Ray's money was not used for Ivan Toney? Or Havertz and Raya could get Arsenal, Kane, or Osimhen. These decisions are on Arteta. Well, they're not just on Arteta, Roz. I do get what you mean. I think that he's definitely a huge part on this. What will worry me is if David Raya has prevented Arsenal from going into the market up top. That will frustrate me because priority-wise, Matt Turner as a backup, although I don't think he was good enough, is okay to get by you a season more than a lack of a centre-forward. So I will be frustrated if this money on Raya has prevented that. But with Matt Turner leaving and David Raya coming in for what we believe to be 27, 28 million, touching 30 million, they've said, to get a goalkeeper for that much money net, wow, of that class, fair play. Like that is, for me, a really good bit of business, man. So, excuse me. What else is there here? Let's take up the other questions. Make sure you put a Q on them, guys, so I can see. King Highlander says, send us the code to join FPLs. It's 2 days to go. Yes, absolutely. We'll make sure that we do that. Trilandro has said, who will have the best season as £100 million plus signing, Rice or Bellingham? I absolutely love the signing of Declan Rice, but I think what Jude Bellingham has got is sensational. And he's in a Real Madrid side that is going to be in La Liga tearing it apart. And I do think that Bellingham, when you look back, will have a better season. So it's going to be interesting. Sports Genius says, Dan, if Balogun goes, would you take Tammy Abraham for a more physical threat? I've always liked Tammy Abraham. Unfortunately, he's got an ACL, so it won't be an option for anybody. But I have actually always quite liked him and feel he's a little bit criminally underrated, but I just don't see that one happening. Drew says, what do you think the Arsenal team looks like at the end of the window? Any late additions? Okay, so I don't think the Arsenal first team will change. I really don't. I don't think any of the players that we buy, that we'll bring in, will replace the first 11. Maybe David Raya, but I think that might be it. But I think Ramsdale will start the season as number one. I think Ben White is the right back with Tomiyasu and Timber to cover. I think Zinchenko, when he's fit, is the left back with Tierney and Tomiyasu and Timber all to cover. I think Saliba and Gabriel are the pairing with Timber, White, and Kivior as the backups. I think Partey's the 6 with either Rice or Jorginho or El Neni, who's still there to replace him. I think Rice is the 8 with Havertz and Smith Rowe to replace him, or Vieira. And then you've got Erdegaard, who I think has Havertz and Smith Rowe and Vieira to replace him. I still feel we're short in there. I think there's one more there that can replace Declan Rice if he's injured. On the left, I think we're fine. I think it'll be Martinelli who starts, although I would probably start with Trossard because I just think he's been phenomenal. And then obviously on the right-hand side, there's Saka. And then you can either do Jesus on the right and somebody else through the middle, or you play Nelson there, who I don't know is the best of from a drop in terms of a drop-off. So I still feel we're short centrally in midfield and up top. And that's where I think we need to strengthen if we want to win this title or a trophy this season. So let's see what happens, man. Nick Hill says, Dan, which player has a similar playing style to Havertz? A very rare profile, maybe Thomas Muller. I'm not going to compare him to anybody because for me, I don't see a player that I can go, wow, you are just like. I don't see this Kaka and Van Persie thing at all. I don't think Thomas Muller is a fair judgment because he's been outstanding for the best part of a decade. I don't know what Havertz is. I'm sorry, I can't really answer that one at the moment. I really can't. Let's answer this one from Mike. He says, Dan, do you think that Saka is better than Martinelli? Honestly, yeah, I do. And I'll tell you why. I think Martinelli is phenomenal. I think he is scary good, and I think his ceiling is unreal. But I think what Saka has proved already is that he can carry this team single-handedly on his shoulders for 3 years running. Play in a number of positions. I've seen Saka play right back, left 8, number 10, right wing, left wing back, left wing, in a false 9. This guy can play anywhere on the pitch. So that's why I would say Saka is better. But I absolutely love Martinelli, man. I really, really do. Sports Genius says, Dan, do you think that Raya will play Champions League and Ramsdale the Premier League? I actually think that there'll be one goalkeeper that plays Cups and one goalkeeper that plays League and Champions League. But it could be for the first time because we've got such good goalkeepers that one of them misses out on a major competition and plays the Cup. So they'll have one major, one Cup. So it will be Premier League and Carabao Cup and Champions League and FA Cup, let's say, for example. That's what it could be. So I have to see what happens. Brett says, big up, Dan. Big fan of yours from Oz. Thank you very much, Brett. Much appreciate that. I really do. Luca, big up Luca, says, hi, Dan, how are you? Do you think that Arsenal should keep Tierney games? Yes, absolutely I do. I don't know why he hasn't been given more game time. Personally, I feel like that's what I think should be happening more, but a lot of people disagree with that. And the way Timber's playing, it's going to be even harder now for Tierney, in my opinion. Last 2 questions are going to be from your boy Freddie, who says, what's your starting 11 versus Forest on Saturday? Okay, my starting 11 is quite simple. David Raya, Aaron Ramsdale in goal. I think at right back, it's got to be Ben White still. At left back, it has to be Timber. Centre backs, for me, Gabriel and Saliba. Partey, Rice and Erdegaard. And a front three of Saka, Martinelli and Trossard. That is what I would do. Are we going to do that? I'm not so sure. You'll have to ask Mikel Arteta. And this last one says from Cheyenne, what's our first 11 if everyone's fit? Ramsdale, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Zinchenko, Partey, Rice, Erdegaard, Saka, Jesus, Martinelli. That's what I think. And I think there you've got Tomiyasu knocking on it. I think you've got Timber knocking on it, Tierney knocking on it. Jorginho's there as cover, but I don't think he's knocking on it. Trossard definitely knocking on the door for sure. Smith Rowe as well. But there's still about 2 or 3 subs there that we need to fill with signings, in my opinion. So, yeah, David Raya being one, and then 2 more. 1 central midfielder and 1 centre forward. And I think we're pretty much there. So, yeah. Let's see what happens, man. Let's see what happens. Kieran Hayes says, Dan, do you think we should sign Douglas Luiz from Villa? I don't want David Luiz, that's for sure. No, I don't think we should because I feel that he plays as a 6 and we've already got Partey, Rice, Jorginho and El Neni that all play there. I think we need more of an attacking option or somebody that can play an attacking 8 or even someone that can play more box to box, really, I would say, actually, as opposed to an attacking player. Yeah, I think I'll go back on that. I think more of a box to box. Caicedo would be amazing. Absolutely incredible signing. That would take Arsenal to the next level. Sign Caicedo, David Raya, and Ivan Toney, and Arsenal have an unbelievable chance of winning the league. And that's where we will leave it, people. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so, so much for all your questions. Please make sure you do me a favor. Hit like on this video. And then more importantly, get me to 11K. I really don't think there's that many that have to go now towards 11K. We're getting so, so close to it. It's like creeping and creeping and creeping towards 11K. It's like I literally can't get enough of you. I've got 9 more people. 9 more people. That's all I need. 9 people to hit subscribe, and that's it. 11K done. Come on, people. Don't let me down. 9 more people to go. Like, subscribe. Free, 2 buttons. That's all it is. Please make sure that you do that, guys, because that would be amazing if I could get that now within the next few minutes. So, yeah, literally 9 of you. There's 300 of you still watching. Just 9 of you, please, to hit the subscribe button. And then we've done it. 11K, the next target. Unbelievable. Thank you so much. Make sure you do that. Hit a like and subscribe on your way out. If you do want to join as a member, you can do that. Make sure you're with us tonight at 10 p.m, people. Stay tuned. 10 o'clock tonight. We've got more fans on. Premier League fan debate. All things transfers. All things new season build-up. All things Premier League predictions. I really want to get your thoughts on some serious questions for tonight's panel. So make sure you're there at 10 p.m. tonight. Like, subscribe. We'll see you later. Take it easy. I'm out of here. Up the Arsenal.